chilling, watching the ocean with you. Baby up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our clouds when people change, but not us. And we just chilling, kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding. And I'll be running, possessed by a low, low voodoo. Fired up like a wolf on the full moon. And we're stuck in a la la land. The tides will turn without us. And I'll be killing time like I might be a cartoon. Take it in real life like haiku. I know we got the good vibes when pieces fall right into place. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Hopefully you can hear me. Well, we got a bit of an awkward, a little bit of a change of setup. I had to reformat things, so sound might be different. I need you guys to give me some audio cues. I've got my co-casters, Eddie and Richard, with me. Hopefully they can also just give us an audio check. Eddie, how you doing?
Good on yourself, George. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to have you here as well. And then, of course, we've got Richard. Richard, can you give me an audio check as well?
Yeah, man. Good to be back. Good to have you back, especially. So looking forward to Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona, definitely the best circuits out there in the world. I say that about Spa and Barcelona. So if you do quote me on that, I'm sorry. I can't pick between the two. But Barcelona, a good interesting circuit out there. We're going over to the practice session now, where the guys are currently in rainy conditions. So you know, it's gonna be an interesting race. Hopefully we have rain for a lot of the actual race. We'll get some car sounds going as well. It is variable weather, so it could rain, it could not. We're currently in practice, so what you see here is not necessarily what we're gonna get when we go over to the actual race conditions as well. Let me just make sure that I've got my broadcast client set up, which I do over here. So Kunos has added in a beautiful little auto broadcaster as well, which makes it nice to get some just standard B-roll while we talk rubbish. And it will just sort of pan through cameras. Unfortunately, they have not got rid of the chase cameras, so I'm sure that we can overwrite those at some point. So I just want to see if I can take this off so that we can actually take control of our own stream. Yes, we can. There we go. Okay, so we're looking at. Oh no, has it? There we go. I need to reconnect my broadcaster clients.
As soon as you've done that, then I'll skip us to quali. Because it is now time for quali.
It is time for quali.
Okay, you can go to qualifying. That's okay for now. I will sort this out on my side. Hopefully. If not, I know how to fix it anyway. But it just requires us re-jumping back in. Hopefully we don't have to do that. We are going to have to redo that. It is okay. We will... Okay, so we're in quali?
We are in quali.
Okay.
Quali has started, and it is raining in quali.
Ooh, that makes it very interesting.
Yeah.
Is it raining hard or is it raining soft?
I still haven't necessarily gotten complete control over my cameras yet.
Well, it
it's-
looks like it's the same conditions as we had in free practice.
It's drizzly but wet.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my serverless to refresh on my side.
Reminds
There
me
we
of
go.
mid-afternoon Umschlanger rain.
One of the things I
That's
Put it in
descriptive.
context.
that's
You were saying, Richard?
well, it looks like there isn't necessarily too much standing water on the circuit because during free practice we were seeing quite a prominent dry line formed. Here it looks like the circuit's not particularly wet. It's a little bit damp in places, maybe.
Wait yet. Give it
Yeah.
Give it some time. As I get my splits back on my screen. There we go.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're going over, obviously, to quali now. 15 minutes here at Barcelona for the guys to get out, set their times. And, of course, with the variable weather conditions, I think the practice server that we set up earlier on had a nice dry practice. So possibly luring some of the drivers to possibly practice in the dry and not get over to the wet. So I'm going to be interested to see. It doesn't look like you mentioned, doesn't look like it's bucketing down. Sometimes you can most certainly see it kind of coming down a lot harder. Right now it doesn't look like it's coming down too hard, which is also one of those difficult things. Do you throw dries on? Do you go with the wets? Obviously in practice where we weren't really streaming it, we saw that dry line format where you probably could be running some slicks and be pretty confident about it. So pretty interested to see what happens. Obviously everybody out on track now going to be going out for their outlap ahead of obviously setting their qualifying times, which means that the guys that are in the pits now will come out ahead of the guys that are going to be on their flying lap. So hopefully everybody obeys the rules of engagement and makes way for the faster guys on their hot laps to get on by if you are waiting on out. But it's good to see the guys sort of spacing themselves out during the outlap, giving themselves a good shot at setting a qualifying. That's something as a driver you've got to sort of contain yourself with. You're always excited to get out on track, and you kind of want to give the guy ahead of you a bit of a rev, so got some pressure on. But when you go into your flying lap and you've got traffic ahead, it is honestly detrimental to yourself.
I've got a flying lap we can quickly look at if you want to jump to Modafani and observe his car change all of a sudden. A brave choice for
Very
a wet
brave.
weekend.
Oh, so like we've mentioned before in the series, Dominus didn't lock down the drivers to specific car choices, which meant that there have been a couple of car choices inter-round, and this is definitely one that is interesting. If you guys are not familiar with the Lamborghini in Assetto Corsa competition, it is a very, very terrifying car on the best of days.
This might be the first time in history somebody has swapped to the Lamborghini instead
No,
of from Lamborghini.
yeah, I mean that's also fair. Sometimes wanting to be a bit different. It does look beautiful with that current Barwell Motorsport livery that is on it. I assume that's the one that's in the game with all the sponsors plastered all over it. Hopefully Kunos gives us some custom liveries soon, but for now we're gonna have to wait and see. It looks like Jason Absmeyer going to be out on track to go and set himself a 148.48 as a starting point for today. Obviously the times now will be changing. A couple of Porsches as well entering into the arena. I don't know if that's just playing onto my love of Porsches, but the Amter Race team looks like they've switched over to the much better car choice, the Porsche.
Not all of them have. It's only Albertine and I believe Victor and Buerta.
Victor doesn't
changed.
drive for Amter Race.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was meaning guys who swapped to the Porsche.
Yeah, but
it's
he
only Albertine and Buerta in Amter Race that have swapped to Porsche.
Yeah, he has had a Porsche before as well. That is a stunning livery design coming out from Victor. The white with the Lumo yellow, dabbed with a bit of black. Very, very outstanding and definitely bright here in the darkening conditions as the clouds form up above and continue to pellet down the drivers with a couple of speckles of rain. That's what we wanted to see. We did say that in the pre-race drivers briefing that we wanted to get a wet race out here and throw a spanner in the works ahead of our final next week at Kyalami. We seem to have got just that. You can see the rain just wetting up the curbs, the death curbs. They now will become that slippery concrete surface. Just becomes even, you don't want to touch it. On the best of days, you can use it, but as it starts to wetten up, you can also see the lines starting to form up on the circuit as the guys start to move some of the surface water out of the way with their tires, and that's the dry line starting to form up. So a little bit of water forming up on the track, maybe a little bit less rain than I could have hoped for, but throwing a drive into a thunderstorm race at a handly circuit like Barcelona is not something that you want to do. But for now, we get to run through a couple of the qualifying times. I suppose you can pull up the timetables here. Richard, do you want to run through the top 10 for us at the moment?
Well, Jason Absmeyer absolutely set a cracker just before you came through to the timing sheet here. Currently, as it stands, we've got Jason Absmeyer in first position. Etienne Kleb, he's in second. Victor de Kock, he's in third. Sean Boerter, fourth position. Basson, he finds himself in fifth. Our man, Mr. Strauss, he's in sixth position. He seems to be doing quite well in the wet. Mr. De Wet, seventh position. Sean Lawrence in eighth. Mr. Vivian Richards, he finds himself in ninth, and 10th. It's Dejan Cup. So that's our top 10
Dejan
for qualifying so far.
Though.
He is on an absolute flyer at the moment.
To 6th, 7th. Is he about to cross? Yes, he's going to jump up. Yeah, 7th, just behind Strauss.
Apparently, you're looking a little bit like the Tiger King, according to some of our comments there, G.
Looking like the Tiger King? That's
like the Tiger
Cap has come off and he's come into contact with Manapane. That's going to invalidate both their laps. They'll be jumping back to the pits to repair the damages that have been incurred, and that's going to be costly because you're going to have to go out and set yourself another out lap before you can go and do another qualifier.
Is on a flyer with just the last sector to go. He's 1.3 up on his own time with, what is this, the last 4 corners to go. And at least we're back at a track with corner names, unlike last week. Yeah, like he's going to go into probably the worst corner name ever, Europe Car. That's no. And then I'm assuming the rack chicane.
Yeah, I mean, the chicane just does this justice. The worst part of the circuit by far. It's kind of like they lost. I think it's the MotoGP layout. But you know what? I can't be a chooser. Everywhere else on the circuit is somewhere that I enjoy. And Menard up to 8th. Yeah, nice time coming out from him. So that we'll send him down to 9th as Lawrence slots his way into 8th with a 151.936. JK Menard. 151.
Also flying. I know
Jason
he has. He's jumped up to a 152.122. Menard down to 10th with a 152.158. Absmeyer up by 3/10 currently. His fastest time being a 147.784. So Absmeyer looking to obviously better his time even more, and the guys behind him not really on the same sort of pace at the moment.
I must say the dry line is not coming out as quick as it did during practice.
I don't think the track wetter. Is it wetter here?
I think it's wetter than we had in the practice session.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think it's good to see a 3 Porsche lineup at the front. Also, just a shout out to our viewers. If you guys are here and you want to type up some chatty messages, we are here to respond to you. I do see the messages coming through there from Phobia. G-Max looking like the Tiger King. You guys picked on me earlier with that as well.
No, Phobia, that's where Richard got it from.
No, I don't even believe it. I think Richard probably planted that into the chat, to be honest. Ahead of time. It's what he would. It's what dirty Bentley drivers would do. Shani's saying your bias showing for Porsche. Well, you know what? I can't help it. They just do look like beautiful cars on track, and currently we've got a Porsche 123.
That's like saying I have bias towards correct math answers.
Yes.
Like, it's not biased if it's factual.
Oh, Demonic here in the chat as well. I mean, just a dirty shout out to Demonic. And he thinks I'm beautiful AF, so thank you. This is. Let me introduce you.
Thank you. Don't be putting this on me.
Listen, Richard in chat. This is the OG Richard in chat. Richard in commentary booth. This is OG Richard here. So if I confuse the two of you, I don't mean to interchange you. Richard,
Buck
the dirty
on a
Bentley
flyover
driver,
lap,
is
by
the
the
difference.
way.
Yeah, he is indeed.
Almost a second now, over a second up with just the last, we call it complex of corners to go through. This is a horrible little chicane. I hate this chicane. But
So
if
this
you get
is
it right,
this is
and you get this right-hander going, ooh,
this is Sharks,
Catalunya.
correct?
Say again?
Yes.
This is Sharks,
is
Sean Buck
Sean
from
Buck,
yes.
Logistical Nightmare.
Yeah, over
I
from
do-
the PlayStation side.
I do happen to know that he is dabbling around with some Coach Dave setups as well. I don't think you get a wet setup to help you out. So the wet one will be all on him. So
Minar
interesting
up-
to see in the
sorry,
drive.
Bear up to 9th.
Yeah, that's going to send Minar back down. But he's 3/10 up again. And Minar now in an Aston Martin. Was he in an Aston last week?
I'm gonna lie if I remember correctly.
I just don't remember this color scheme coming
no,
through. But
he did change cars at some point. He must went from, I think he had the McLaren in this Technicolor scheme, and then he swapped over to this, either the last race or the race before, which you both.
well, he's
unfortunately
4/10.
had to
He's
miss.
4/10 up into the final chicane. He's obviously got a very, very aggressive Ferrari behind him, putting some pressure on. Does go up another 10th as he gets to that final Catalunya corner. 4/10 up. Will jump himself up
But
the order.
immediately down
But
to 11th by
yeah,
who's that driving behind him, Lawrence.
is it?
Hendricks
Was
is
it?
behind him.
It was Hendricks behind him,
no,
correct?
Hendricks.
Hendricks was on an
No.
absolute flight. Was Hendricks? He's not wrong. Oh, Hendricks has taken out his teammate. To race. Teammates taking each other out right at
No,
the end of
Hendricks
quali there.
moved to Amped.
He has moved over to Amt, it looks like.
Ah,
Some driver changes going on in the log.
yeah,
For now,
the season's not even over and the market's open already.
for sure. It's a whole new world out there. Drivers joining up and
Vanna Hubert might jump himself a place or two here. He's 0.2 up on his own time, which would
Well,
get him.
that's
at
not gonna
least
help him,
11th. Oh no, no,
Nah, that's it.
thrown. But he's got another. Oh, he could squeeze 2 more laps if he keeps going. I get this feeling that maybe there is a bit of dryness forming out there because everyone seems to be getting faster each lap, as Dion Cup is also up on his own time. Dion, I think the only Bentley we have at the moment.
He is the only. No, De Vet
No,
is
there's
also in
not.
a Bentley, number 8.
Ah, the Boatleys. They should do well in the wet weather.
They're magnificent in the wet.
um
Just it's the lump of meat behind the steering wheel that's usually the problem.
I mean, I'm glad that you just corrected it. I didn't even have to jump in there. I was going to throw shade, but I didn't even have to. There's
I'm
there's
sitting comfortably in the shade right now. G.
there's something about the universe that just corrects itself automatically. But you are right. I think the Bentley, an interesting car choice still will be the Lamborghini for me. Marapane in 9th with it, so he's definitely feeling okay at the moment, and it doesn't look like we've caught any incidents on camera, and he looks quite stable. I'm not gonna come out and say this thing looks too twitchy for now. I think that all in all, it's so far an interesting car pick, and it might work out well for him. So it would be the best commentator's curse if the Lamborghini came out to start in 9th and make its way up to a podium finish. So coming into 55 seconds remaining of qualifying, it looks like our top 2 drivers, Victor and Jason, not going to be jumping out to better their times. Christos Besson in 3rd is currently out on track, looking to maybe better his time. Not up on his splits at the moment, but he's obviously got this whole lap to do so. For
I
now,
would be worried starting with Basson just ahead of me. I mean, he's been known to get his dive suit on, and he's in the same car as the Cock and Absmeyer. So if
you
they
know,
don't get a good start, he might just cause a lot of trouble for us.
yeah, well, you know what? I'll be honest. I had a superb race with Christos Bassan during one of the Monday night racing sessions this week, and we had a great battle on track. He was behind me most, arguably faster than me, and I had to do a lot of defensive work. But a completely fair battle, did things correctly in the right way. So from what I've witnessed, this week in terms of racecraft in this Porsche, Basson doing good things, and I'm
it's
hoping
nothing
for a good clean start.
It's nothing against his driving style. It's more we know Basson is going to take the gap if it's there. So if either the two leaders, or as Basson goes careening off track,
I
very
did. You know what?
Baston.
He did a big 360 exit spin for us in the Porsche.
Ah.
You heard us talking about him, and that's what we like to hear. So we obviously get to pull up our timetable sheet here. Obviously, Jason going for the triple purple sector gain there, quickest in all three with a 147.362, 1.4 seconds of Victor de Kock in second. So that is quite blistering pace coming out from Mr. Absmeyer there. Christos Basson third, Kleb fourth, Buerta fifth, Strauss sixth, Hendricks seventh, Cap eighth, Marapane ninth, Lawrence 10th, Menard 11th, Jobert will start in 12th, Devet 13th, Buck 14th, Vivster Richards in 15th, and Meloto will be starting down the back of the order in 16th. So we've got a Porsche at the front, a Porsche at the back, and a mixture of inferior cars in between. I kid.
Porsche sandwich is the best sandwich.
You know, we've got a couple of different cars. So unfortunately, whilst we wait for the session to end, I don't think we can move over to.
I can though confirm that Moloto seems his team is at technical difficulties, so he may not see the start of the race.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate for.
So
that's
they might
unfortunate
not
for
get it
him.
out of the garage.
Oh, it's
for
raining
us to
harder.
Oh my
see.
word.
Oh, there's puddles on the ground. Exciting times. So we had a proper wet race at Nürburgring last week.
No, this
Yeah,
is
this game comes to life in the wet. It's quite the experience.
no, this is
It
going to
comes to life
be
and
this is going to be quite nuts. Let's see if we can just pull up some driver names here and do a little rundown of the order. Can you run us down the order here, Richard? Do you want to do it for us as I pan down the grid?
All right, so we've got Absmeyer, De Kock on the first row, Basson, Kleb on the second row of the grid, Buerta, Strauss on the third row of the grid, Hendricks and Cup on the fourth row, Marapane and Lawrence on the what are we now? The fifth
row.
fifth row, Minaj, Jabeur, Devet and Buck, and at the back here we have Mr. Vivster Richards.
So sadly, it doesn't seem like Moloto managed to get his car out of the garage
In time.
He is not even starting from the pits. He does not show in the timing sheet. Oh, he's still in the timing sheet,
Well,
but I
Something
don't
else to
think he'll be partaking.
Something to confirm for you, Mr. Ulti coming through with the inside information. Jason also using a Coach Dave Academy setup.
I'm gonna report Alaric if he advertises his damn setups in my stream.
I know. I think you should.
But I mean, that's only because he wants to report me for showing bias towards Porsches. Phobia thinking that Porsches need some BOP. Not going to argue with you. I do feel they are quite strong, but don't touch my Porsches. Leave them alone. I'm happy for you guys to advertise and plug. Also, you can share links to wherever you want. I'm pretty sure you are a mod here. So, you know, plug away. Do what you guys want to do. We're about to go live for our formation lap here at Catalunya. Obviously, a full formation lap. 15 cars on the grid, so a bit of a smaller grid as we come to the closing stages of the championship. It's pretty much wrapped up for Bruno. So, you know, a lot of drivers may be losing a bit of, motivation to finish the race. I sort of prompt everybody to try and finish if they can. This is a wet race. Holy moly mo.
It's proper wet. Like I said, there's puddles on the ground. So many reflections you wish it had RTX. And you can't see anything ahead of you. If you're following somebody with like full speed rooster tail happening, you can't
best know the
see
circuit.
anything anymore.
Can one of you go into one of just into a drive menu and go and check the forecast for the rain? At the moment, it's
next 30 minutes is unchanged.
Okay, so we should have a wet race for 30 minutes. Our drivers are all obviously lining themselves up. I want to say they're trying to put some warmth into the tires, but you're not really going to be able to do that. And if they, not going to get the grip, they are going to get themselves pretty hot anyway. So I'm not going to say that it's dry enough that you have to worry about keeping them cool on the formation lap. It does look pretty wet and wild out there. I'm pretty excited to see what's going to come around. It's definitely not just because we have a front row of Porsches with a lonely Aston Martin splitting another Porsche in between that. So hopefully a battle of Porsches up at the front. No bias towards these beautiful beasts as they come around in single file, obeying that Kunos formation lap. I'll get told to move into double file, and that's when things will start to get exciting. That's when we, as the commentators, know the drivers are preparing for what is going to be an interesting hour-long race. 30 minutes of confirmed race as per the in-game weatherman. We're going to call him Simon. Simon Gear, the weatherman, is he's told us. Actually, Richard Gear, the weatherman, has told us 30 minutes of rain. 30 minutes of rain, and it doesn't even look like a little drizzle. So someone going off in the back, that's Vivster, already starting to struggle with traction.
Imagine if you thought to yourself, I'll chance it, and you put on the wrong setup and you don't have rain tires right now.
No, you go straight into the pits and put on rain tires, and you call that your mandatory pit stop. So obviously we got the mandatory stop with a tire change required. So if it does dry up, that might be time to throw on the dries. Might, make things. Oh, this is the moment we've been waiting for. 2 by 2 they go through the chicane of death at Barcelona. In the wet, it's going to be made even more treacherous. A beautiful sight as they all come through and begin their lineup towards the line. We're here for the penultimate round, round 12 of the Dominus Gaming ACC GT3 World Series.
Keep an eye on Basson. He's got the inside line and a draft going all the way to T1.
Keep an eye on Basson. We're waiting for we've got green lights. Jason getting a drive-through penalty off the line.
Dark Berta also with a drive-through.
Are those fair drive-through penalties that have come out there? Richard, you're going to have to go through and check those out because no one was jumped back to the pits off the line. So you need to go and see if it was because
it might just be a heavy foot as Basson down into 4th now. Kleb managing to get around the outside into T1 to take that 3rd position.
Stark Buerta into 5th.
Also with a great start.
He really has had a nice start coming out there. Strauss doing big work in that Aston Martin, making his way through the order, getting himself nice and clean into 5th position. It looks like on the timing sheets, he's got Basson in that Porsche up in front of him, and he's got his teammate Stark Buerta with a drive-through penalty behind. So we need you to look at both those drivers. So Stark Buerta and Jason Absmeyer, please. Big dive coming out from that Bentley. Dion Cap, the horrible dive coming out from Dion Cup there as he has made big contact.
Things you get penalties for.
Yeah, let's have a little.
He's just ruined Berta's afternoon slightly because Berta still has that drive-through unless he serves it immediately.
So just trying to have a look at what's happened with Cap here. We've jumped back in the replay to try and see what has happened. He's in the draft. He's gone. Oh, he's definitely missed the brakes there, and he's gone, like we've said, towards that inside line, and he's unfortunately collected another driver. So that's going to be a race review coming out. An unfortunate start coming out for a couple of drivers here. Jason Absmeyer still with his drive-through penalty, of course, pending a little look-see from Richard, as will Stark Buerta. Both drivers, let's see if we can get some split times coming up, as Victor de Kock close onto the back of Absmeyer here. Can we put up some driver names as well? Makes it easier for...
not going in for his drive-through just yet.
So, just an update. Absmeyer, it was minor, but there was a slight jump at the start. I think he just got a bit too much speed before it actually went green. You can see there's a definite delay in the first row's timing between the two drivers. So
a fair drive-through, are you saying?
I would call it close, very, very close, but I'm going to call it fair.
Okay, so Absmeyer going to still have to serve that. I'm not
serving his now.
Yeah, so unfortunate for that. Absmeyer going to have to go in and serve that. We have had confirmation coming out from Richard there that it was a slight jump start that has caused that drive-through penalty to be incurred. Will you be able to just type a message in chat as one of the admins there just to alert him that it is a penalty that he has to serve. Unfortunate
we'll
start there, but a great start coming out from Kleb as well. I mean, Kleb here, he's just had the drive that he needed to get. These Aston Martins, I feel, in the wet conditions, also a very, very stable car to have a look at, and a good choice for the wet. Definitely going to be favoring the Astons. I know other leagues run some BOP on them because of the advantage that the Astons do carry. So Kleb here going to be chasing it down on Absmeyer, who will still have to serve that drive-through penalty. You can just see Kleb closing down the gap to Absmeyer, corner by corner. Running down the order, De Kock down to third, Besson into fourth. Strauss, he's still going to hold on to fifth place in his Aston. Also, a beautiful paint job coming out in that from that EKZ Motorsport Aston. I do like the coloring. Good to see Strauss doing good things with the car change. Obviously was trying out that twitchy Lamborghini for a long part of the season and has made a move over to the Aston and feeling comfortable. Nero Hendricks will hold down 6th. Amateur race Ferrari there. Joe Burr, a good showing from him into 7th place for the TGN Racing Simulators team with the... Oh, Cap again has come off. Cap is not having a good race here at all. He's lost it and come into the wall and is now waiting.
He had a great wet race with us at Nürburgring. I thought he would have been one of the guys reveling in the wet.
Yeah, it does not look like he is happy here, and I feel like that's... I mean, you guys put the curse on with the Bentley and saying it's good in the wet, and it's definitely not proving to be navigating through the seas of Catalonia during this epic downpour. And it will be Jason Absmeyer to lose the lead off screen to Kleb. Jason Absmeyer obviously still needing to serve his drive-through penalty. He's got De Kock now closing down behind him. I'm not sure if it was a mistake made or not, but De Kock will be closing down. Besson, he's got himself a gap down to Strauss. So everybody's spacing themselves out. This is something that we do see in the wet races. There's guys with varying abilities and different car control levels when the surface starts to get a little bit damp. And this is certainly a little bit damper than damp. It's looking like it's quite a handful. If you go to the dashboard cam from Besson, he's chasing down Absmeyer in front, and you can just see the spray being kicked up from the Porsches in front adds to the downpour on the windscreen from the heavens above as well. So obviously a lot of conditions to factor in. It's hard to always see your braking points. It makes it very, very hard. And these guys doing their best out in the wet conditions for now. But this gap is closed right down because De Kock, he's got past Absmeyer, as Absmeyer going to be going into the pits to serve the drive-through penalty. So Absmeyer into the pits. That's going to drop him down the order. And this is not going to be his pit stop that will allow him to change his tires. Of course, there's still going to be a mandatory stop that these drivers have to make a tire change. So you're not wanting to spend time in the pits. And that's going to be a disappointing start to a great pole position. Kleb will take over.
Richard and I spoke about this last week, where I believe this is the first time an AMP2 race guy is legitimately leading, not because of being out of place due to pit stops and so on and so on. This is literally AMP2 race taking the lead of a race.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a good showing also at was it Laguna Seca? I seem to remember them.
No, they've done fabulously in the last 4 races.
Yeah, so some new wind into the sails from the amateur race boys and a good showing. Victor De Kock, our Porsche representative, needing to go and hunt down that Aston Martin for the buyers to, bode true and well. I need a podium position Porsche there. And a first place podium position Porsche. That would be great. Besson also in the running here. I'll be keen to see what Besson starts to do when he settles into things. Kazoo into the chat saying that Absmeyer, Albertine and Kleb separated by 22 points for second in the championship. So interesting enough, there is going to be a battle there for second, and things going to be thrown up into the air for Absmeyer as a great race coming out from Kleb. And where's Albertine sitting at the moment? Is Albertine...
Sorry, I was busy looking at Corne.
Did he also disconnect? Because from my side, I think he may have been disconnected.
No, he's down in 12th position at the moment. Not having done, but he's having a. No, that's Richard.
I think
No, I think
I
Franco's
feel
out, eh?
yeah, I think Albertine has dropped out. So Kleb, running up at the front here, doesn't have those two competitors behind him with the separation anxiety. It's going to be good for him wanting to get a run onto those guys for that second place in the championship. So good going from Kleb. Like I said, the Aston Martin's in the wet. Just something else as well. Kleb looking very, very comfortable at the moment. In terms of rain predictions, it still says to me we've got a 50% wet track condition at the moment. So still a potential for it to get wetter. 19 degrees ambient temperature, 22 degrees on surface. So right now it would be great if we could get a little tire readout on some of these cars. Menard will go up into 10th, obviously benefiting from the likes of Absmeyer jumping down into the pits. Dion Cap.
You know who's on a flyer and catching the guy ahead of him is Corne Strauss. He is half a second up on his own lap and closing the gap to Basson in third. Oh, you can see nothing out of the front of this car.
And I mean, driver names make it easier to see cars. If we take those off as well, it becomes a lot harder.
There's a rain light guys are supposed to switch on, but I don't think many people know it's in the simulator.
Yeah, I think this is a new feature to them. I mean, I'm going through it here. You can actually see a couple of their rain indicators in the basic HUD view. Most of the guys, if not all of them, aren't using the feature. I know Corne Strauss is currently looking at his car. You can see it on clear as day. But a couple of the guys definitely.
Oh, and he's closed down to Basson, but he's less than a second now with the long straight or main straight to go. This could be an interesting T1 for Strauss, and he's also in that Aston, which, as we can see with Kled, Aston loving the rain in Spain, as it were.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think this is also maybe a car that Corne can fall back on. You know, if he had been in the Lamborghini, I shudder to think where he'd be sitting right now. But in this Aston, he looks like he's very comfortable.
Yeah, but Son seems to not be getting the most out of the traction control side of things either. It doesn't seem to be getting the drive out. When you look back at Corne Strauss, he seems to be maximizing on that grip on the exit of the corners. And that's what you want to do in the wet weather. You know, just minimize the amount of slip that you're getting out and just try and, get those short shifts going, get the power through to the wheels. And it's doing great things here for him. He's just going to have to keep on nailing his apexes, and he really will catch right up to the back of Basson in the next couple of corners. We've seen him narrow down the gap already, and you know what? As soon as you are a driver like Basson and you've got the worry of a driver catching you and you can see that they're faster through sections, it does become a worry to you and you start to make mistakes yourself. So if you take your eyes off of the screen for just a second, I mean, the conditions ahead just make things so much harder. And I think, it looked like De Kock coming a little bit slow off the exit ahead.
Well,
so it looks like there has been a little bit of a slowdown there. So these three drivers will be scrapping out for second if Victor De Kock makes mistakes like that. And he's got to be careful that he doesn't let that gap get to him, because that's where it becomes very, very dangerous. You've got two cars behind you all fighting it out and ready with those on-grip limits. If you've been driving by yourself, you're not used to the lines that you need to drive to defend. And if you get caught off guard, it's so easy to slip away a position in the rain.
Absolutely.
Koch putting in his personal best for the race, a 155.7, is still 0.3 away from Kleb's 155.4.
So then he didn't make a mistake on the previous lap. I mean,
he made up a bunch of time somewhere in the last sector.
So, if I could, for an update on our pole starter, Jason Absmeyer has managed to take back a position from Vivian Richards and has now closed the gap well down on Dion Cup in the number 123 Bentley, and it looks like he's going to make a pass on him on the straight.
Yeah, a bad exit coming out from Cap. Cap also just moving over, giving way to the faster driver coming up through the grid. It's a good decision with 47 minutes left to do. You don't want to fight with people that you don't have to unnecessarily fight with. So, like you said, Jason going to make up a position, get himself into 12th for now.
but a long way to get up to our leader Etienne Kleb, who really is just starting to stretch his legs up at the front and feels quite comfortable for sure. Victor de Kock, I was hoping for him to take the fight here to Kleb, but for now Kleb is in the running to have a very, very good race, and he's looking very, very comfortable. Sometimes you can see a driver is not looking too comfortable in the wet as well. You know, they may be doing well, but, you know, making slight errors and mistakes. But from what we've seen Kleb showing, looking very, very stable for the meanwhile.
Guys seem to be finding a line out there. If you look at your timing sheet, it's almost a majority green. Like, I don't see a dry line forming, so it has to be everybody just kind of finding their wet rhythm. And I mean, JK Minnar 0.7 up on his best. Lawrence is 0.8 up. Modipane 0.9 up. Like, everyone is finding those milliseconds out there now, and I mean, now is the time to start pushing to get the best out of these tires before the weather changes.
So in terms of pit positions as well, no one having gone in yet, and I think what we'll see here is quite a late pit strategy from the drivers. I think they're going to be waiting to see what the rain does, so we won't probably see the static just jump into the pits at 30 minutes. I think the guys will be just trying to see if it does, you know, dry up, and if they are going to need to make a tire change to a different compound. I think that's going to be the most interesting side of things. I mean, we had a prediction for 30 minutes. It could rain for the next 6 hours if the race went on for 6 hours. It's completely randomized weather, obviously keeping things toned down so that it's not thunderstormy conditions at their peak. But at the same time, you could get a completely sunny day. We saw that happen in our first free practice session, and we go over here to the race and just look at it. It's most certainly time to get your wheelies out.
Jason Absmeyer has gotten himself up into 11th now, and he is, for lack of a better word, flying.
Yeah, no, he's on a mission at the moment, eh?
He's bought himself some clean track now, so expect at least the next 2 laps to be at the leader's pace. Speaking of the leader, Kleb is half a second up on his own time. Kleb might be going sub 155s here if he can keep it going into the last corner.
It seems, though, Mr. Corne Strauss seems to have had an incident, though. He's found himself in 8th position. Not too sure what happened there.
Oh yeah, and he's 16 seconds off his own time, so he must have
had an off. Let's see if I can...
So JK Minnar, he's going to be closing then down onto Strauss. If Strauss did pick up damage from something, that will be benefiting the drivers back from him. So 9th and 10th for Lawrence and Minnar could find themselves catching up to the back of Strauss if Strauss just managed to save it and wasn't involved in too much.
Can you jump to Sean Buck quickly? He's making a move on Noor Hendricks. It's Ferrari on Ferrari going into the first corner.
Buck going to try and have the inside line. He's not quite alongside just yet. He's going to have to wait. And good driving coming out from Buck to just back off the back of Hendricks there and just wait. They'll go into the long sweeping right-hander now. And Buck will be trying to hold on to the back of that Ferrari. But Modipane, he's managed to close down the gap too. Let's get some driver name tags up here. So that Lamborghini is got a point to prove at the moment. Modipane coming around and trying to do just that. He's got Buck in his sights. Buck, Hendricks, and Modipane going to be fighting out, and Strauss soon too. So this is a little 4-way battle brewing up. Modipane closing down onto the back of that Ferrari from Buck. Buck leaving the door open on the inside. Modipane trying to make the move down the straightaway section. Buck got the drive out of the corner. Modipane going to have to wait and just put things on ice a little bit longer, and that's going to force him to back out, which is going to open up the opportunities at the back for Corne Strauss in his Aston Martin for EKZ Motorsport. Modipane here trying to get the move done on Buck and losing out on the back outside, and Strauss going to close back down. So what was going to be a battle between Buck and Hendricks has turned into a defensive war between Buck, Modipane, and Strauss soon. So an interesting little 3-way battle brewing. Can't wait to see what these 3 cars, all 3 different manufacturers as well, to pique our interests. And of
Buck
course,
had a terrible exit on the last corner, and this is allowed Modapane to close down even more.
Yeah, it's not a place that you can get through in the chicane if you hold the inside line. That's exactly what Buck has done. Forced Modapane once again to have to back out of his move, and he's given himself some space wide from Modapane, exceeding the track limits, needing to be careful on the gas application on the exit, not to spin the Lamborghini around, and that's given Buck a great runaway. And just like that, in 3 corners, you know, all 3 drivers that looked like they were possibly going to have a move on one another have spaced themselves out to give us a little bit of breathing room. I don't want to leave the action just yet because I feel like it's going to brew again shortly, but we'll have to...
But, if you go to Basson, he's found some rhythm. He's almost 0.6 up on his fastest time. Comfortably in third. Yeah, closest behind him is Hubert. Hubert is 6 seconds down the road.
Well, what a drive coming out from Vanna. I mean, he started way down the order and seemed to really find his boots in the rain and having a phenomenal drive. Currently in 4th place, and this is not due to pitting or pit positions at the moment. It really is a good little drive coming out. So all our drivers still need to do their mandatory pit stops. Things could change up in the order there. Back again, looking like he's got Modapane on the fire attack. He's indicating that on my screens, and
he looks like
he
he's
does
gonna
have
make
a
it.
bad... Modapane is going to be on the outside. Buck doing well to defend this. He's going to hold the inside line. He's going to force Modapane wide, but can the cutback come? It will be the cutback from Modapane. Buck has made the mistake. He's going to allow Strauss to come through as well. What a move coming out from Modapane, and Strauss capitalizing on that, and that will send Buck to the back of the 3-way pack. And I said that before, you got to be careful, you'll lose out big time, and that's exactly what has happened to Buck there.
I almost feel that Modapane's move wasn't so much a cutback on Buck as a defense on Strauss, who was also trying to come up the inside of Modapane.
For sure, if you've got 2 drivers in front of you battling, that's your best opportunity to do something. So it is really, really important for you to make sure that you are covering your lines. And Buck there, you know, he wanted to cover that inside line. He got late on the brakes, which sent him wide on his exits. And just like that, you know, the other drivers just go, yup, I'll take that back. So Absmai here into 10th, of course, was our pole starter. Make his way back up through the grid order. Still going to have to pit and do some things. Next in front of him will be JK Manar. He's having a great race as well, holding down 9th. He was qualifying sort of in 9th early on and got kicked down the order by some faster cars. But you know what? It just goes to show that consistency goes a long way in racing. And Manar currently holding down his 9th spot. Top 10, always a good place to be. Buck wanting to get back at Strauss, I think there. But Hendricks and Modapane are also going to be the next cars to watch. I love that we cursed the Lamborghini at the start of the race, and it's the Lamborghini that's going to be doing big work. Hendricks going wide on the exit, taking a lot of a wet curb with him. That's going to compromise his traction and allow Modapane to get that exit. And the Lamborghini does seem to be happy at the moment, and I don't know how Modapane has tamed it, because it is not known to be...
drives like an excited puppy, and no puppy enjoys being... Oh, all puppies love being wet.
I mean...
That fell flat.
I mean, it was a big wind-up for a... I was expecting...
A lot more.
I'm a little bit disappointed, Eddie, after...
But English is not my first language. That's
you know what? It doesn't matter. Modapane is going to spice things up shortly and save you from your terrible jokes. Hendricks is going to be in trouble. And it will be a battle of the Italian manufacturers, Ferrari versus Lamborghini, as we see Strauss versus Buck behind on the same straightaway down the start-finish straight. They'll start the 11th lap here in the rain. 38 minutes left on the clock. Pit stop still yet to be done by pretty much the entire field. Rain-wise, 7 minutes, we will get another wet weather update. And Hendricks, he's made the mistake. Modapane is all over the back, and Hendricks on the defensive knows that he needs to hold down the inside line. And that's going to force Modapane once again to have to just back out a little bit. And it does compromise you. Lifting off and making sure you don't come into the back of someone that is holding down a line can sometimes really, really mess you up for the next couple of corners. But Modapane on the attack here, and Ryan trying to make his way back up through the order into 6th. at the moment, and a great drive coming out from, I mean, I assume he's still driving for KK Racing. I'm not sure why he doesn't have the bright colors on his car, but a great showing coming out, and some new names in the in the mix of things to really bring the fight. We know Marapane has power and pace, but he doesn't get to compete and show it too often, and Hendricks is going to be under so much pressure from Marapane. I really just, I feel like this is looming, and it's ominous.
And here it comes.
Oh, making the move, showing that nose. He's
Hendricks
going to make it stick.
he's going to have the inside line here. That's the right way to force someone off of the line, and Hendricks leaving the door wide open, and Marapane says, you know what? You leave that open, I'm going to take that every time. Great bit of driving coming out from Marapane, and Strauss now, he wants to get in on this action too. Hendricks going to be a little bit rattled by Marapane's pace, and Strauss closing down the door all the way through the chicane. Going to get a great exit out. Might have to back out before they come through Catalunya. Down the straights, it's all going to be, and he's come too wide out, and that's going to compromise his run. But Buck is going to be right there to have a look. He's going to be in the slip too. He's going to have a look on the inside down to T1 alongside Strauss. They go down lap 12, Buck on the inside. Strauss going to try with some cutback. Buck not making the same mistakes here. Awesome braking coming out from Buck. Does the move, gets the work done, and Strauss going to try and have a look around the outside. Knows that he needs to go back on the inside line. Great bit of driving coming out from Buck there, and he's going to now have to stay on the defensive. Strauss still trying to have a look. He's just going to try on the outside here. Buck trying to hold down the inside line. Very, very brave move coming out from Strauss. Great bit of driving coming out from both drivers, showing respect to one another on the racetrack. Strauss going to have a look on the inside. It's been left open by Buck. Side by side, they continue to go. A superb bit of driving coming out from both. Oh, no. It's touched. Buck has closed in and touched in on Strauss. And Buck coming across the racing line. He's going to be in the way. He's caused an incident with Manar. Absmeyer also in the mix of things. A big, big error coming out. And, it was great racing up until that moment. Commentator's curse will come out and plague it. But look at this side-by-side action. Buck and Strauss. It looked like one of them just came across just a little bit. They were side-by-side. Buck coming back across the line, wanting to get... Yeah, Buck came right back across the line there. They needed to give each other a little bit of room. And unfortunately, a bit of contact coming into play. But a bit of exciting driving up until that point.
Yeah, no, that was quite a knife fight that these...
Jason Absmeyer, I think he's the only one that managed to get through with zero contact.
Yeah, he was the big winner there, actually. Out of everyone who went through that little incident, he was the real winner.
And you'll have to see if Minar's got any serious damage, if Strauss or, Buck, I'm pretty sure will have damage.
Yeah, Buck,
but Minar
I think...
got a bit of a nose bump, so...
Strauss will definitely...
he keeps
behind him. Manar and Cap are now fighting things out. This will be for position for currently 8th place. That will be Manar holding it down. Cap going to be trying to capitalize on potentially that damage that was incurred on that Aston Martin from Manar's incident with those two drivers that we were watching earlier. But that's unfortunate,
When Cap went spinning around as well, he might have some damage on that Bentley.
I mean, if you look at the front of it, is most definitely looking like it's been into the panel shop a couple times and not had the QC done before being released.
And he's not pitted as far as I can tell.
Well, he hasn't pitted in and got a mandatory stop on, so I can change back to some split times here. It's in Kleb up in the front still. He's got a great lead back to Victor de Kock, 8.75 seconds. According to the split timing sheet update the last time round. Then we got Bassan holding down 3rd for the Am2 Race team. Vanajabe for TGN Racing Simulators in 4th. Marapane in that Lamborghini for KK Racing in 5th. Noah Hendricks for Am2 Race in the Ferrari this time round in 6th place. I mean, he's always been driving the Ferrari, but we see a lot of Am2 Race Porsches. So Absmeyer, he's down, or he's... Where do we see? He's up to 7th. He was down to 10th, up to 7th. He started from the bottom and is making his way back up. He's got Hendricks up in front of him. Then we got Manar down in 8th for KK. Jan Cup for WRG2, Academy driver there. He's riding an academy livery. Dian Cup in 9th place at the moment. Corne Strauss, unfortunately, that incident with Buck has left him sort of licking his wounds down in 10th place and doesn't seem to be on the same pace level that he was earlier on, so it might have picked up some damage. Vivster into 11th, but Buerta will be in 12th. Lawrence in his SS Motorsports.
Lawrence has pitted though, so he is technically out of position.
This
Lawrence
is true.
and De Vet have both pitted.
They have both jumped into the pits, which could be interesting if the rain does not continue.
We've got 1.5 minutes to find out if the weather changes. But so far it doesn't. It seems to just be raining.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a weather change.
It definitely looks like it is staying
Jason
a wet
Absmeyer
race.
about to get past Noah Hendricks. Noah going very wide into the previous corner. Jason all over the back of him. I'm pretty sure he's going to have him going up.
Yeah, no,
What
he's
is
already
this?
got him.
To the TV3 corner.
No, of course. I mean, the exit coming out there from Jason was going to be better off the line than what Hendricks got. So up into 6th place for Absmeyer. Still
He's got
31
6
minutes to
seconds.
make. He's got 31 minutes to still make his way through the order. Still a potential for other drivers to make mistakes. We're just going to cut back to Marapane, who again is 3/10 up on his previous lap time. So he's trying to chase down the gap to Joe Burr up in front, who's got himself quite a lead ahead. He's got Basson in his sights. So that's 3rd place that Werner Joe Burr is chasing by. So just a great little shout out there to Werner. I mean, when he first started driving in the ACC stuff, we knew he had potential, big name in the racing side of things, but really showing his worth in the rain.
Now that he's gotten used to the sim, he's again somebody worth watching in a race.
No, I couldn't agree more. Doing a phenomenal job at the moment as well. The Dian Cup is showing that there's a battle coming, and that will be Menard. So Menard on Cap. So we saw this earlier. It was a different sort of position there. Cap was behind Menard. So Menard now going to go alongside down into T1. He's got the run down the slip. He will have the inside line. Where will the braking come in? The Bentley going to get the inside move done and forcing himself around the outside. Good bit of respectful driving, but great little bit coming out from Cap there. Gets the move done on Menard, who had arguably the better line into the corner. And Cap will hold off that Aston Martin for another lap. But you can see, I mean, when it comes down to driver ability, we know that Dian Cap has some skill and some pace. He might be fighting with some damages as well, so let's not take that out of the equation. But that Aston Martin from Menard is just looking so much more stable, so much more planted, and the drive away really does come to putting the car in the right place for Cap now. He needs to hold off Menard as much as he can. So Strauss going to go into the pits, I see. So I'm sure he's going in here for his mandatory tire switch. Jobert also going to be going into the pits from 4th place. So the pit stops starting to come out, 28 minutes on the clock. I think they kind of just waited to see a weather update.
Yeah, I can confirm
No
it will be
updates.
raining for the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's going to just be the same buckets the whole time.
Okay, so the drivers here will be throwing off the old set of wets that they started the race on. Will be putting on a fresh set to see the end of the race, and I'm sure they'll be happy with that. They've probably been driving the grip off of them. There's probably a little bit more left on the tires. Wouldn't really be needing to switch them out at this point, I don't think. But, you'll be welcoming it. Everybody has to make the tire change, so take what you're going to be given. Marapane into the pits, so he's going to go in for an early pit stop, not wanting to wait too long. Wonder if Jason Absmeyer is going to try and see if he can stay out for a little bit longer, having
With his
obviously gone
pace-
into the pits earlier on.
With his pace, a clean track for 2 or 3 laps might just jump him a couple of positions.
He's been on it, though. Maximum attack the whole time. He's really just clawing his way back up. He's carved through everyone who's come up in front of him so far.
Oh, and he's got Who's that ahead of him on track? Somebody is going to lap. Yeah, half an hour to go. How many laps will that give us? Maybe another 14 laps if we're lucky. And wet weather all the way. Also, I
Yeah,
really enjoyed the rate race we had last week.
I did
That
as
was
well.
fun.
You're kidding me now. Who is this in front of Jason Asmeyer on circuit?
Let me try figure this out. I just need to click this button a couple
It's
of
an
times.
Aston
It's
Martin.
Cornet Strauss who's just ahead of him. But Cornet has gone into the pits already.
Yes, yeah. And there's a surety he picked up damage not only in the incident with Sean Buck, but the incident he had on his own coming through T1. He just ran slightly off the racing line, and the turbo grass pulled him and just kept pulling him. And I'm pretty sure the kiss with the wall definitely didn't help his aero.
This Strauss.
Yes, that's Strauss. Because remember,
they
he
would have
found
fixed
himself.
that now in the pit stop. He is well down. Like he's behind De Vet, behind Dion Cup, behind Sean Lawrence, who've all had their starts.
He's just past De Vet, as De Vet seemed to have a small issue there coming through T1 as well. So Cornet Strauss has picked up that position now. We should see an update on the timing board as we see a Dion Cup also spinning it there.
Round around.
I think that
How did
definitely threw Strauss a little bit
Strauss
because he got
also
on
off
late
the
there.
track.
Yeah, that threw a couple drivers there quite severely.
Looking at Kleb, who is having the easiest race ever. He's just lapped Morapane, but Kleb still has to go to the pits. I think stretching his first set of tires as long as he can. But he's got a massive lead, over reaching 10 seconds to De Kock in second. And then De Kock himself's got a nearly, almost 14-second lead on Basson in third as Kleb goes into the pits. Werner Hubert also in the pits. Isn't this Hubert's second pit stop?
Yeah, I think he may have made a mistake because I didn't see his mandatory pit stop marker change. The same with Buck. Buck has made 2 pit stops. One very long one where he fixed his damage and all that kind of stuff, and then a second one where he actually fitted the tires.
Maybe they didn't swap tires, or
Well, that could be the thing.
because I noticed in our race, like you can do 45 minutes on a set of weights before it gets really slippery.
Yeah, before they really start falling off the metal on you.
Victor De Kock currently not having done, or he's not had a pit stop yet. Every time I speak about someone, the camera changes. Absmeyer, though, where is he?
He finds
He's
himself in
not-
fourth.
Yeah, he's not gone in for his pit stop yet. This will take him up to second. Still has to do that pit stop, but he's managed to jump Cornet Strauss. Lap times, he's sitting in the low 155s, which should be enough to start catching at least Basson. I must say, Porsche's not looking as comfortable as they did in qualifying.
Well, I think with the pace he's been running at, specifically in these wets, and I think you called it spot on, where he's got himself a little bit of clean track, back markers. Well, I wouldn't say back markers, but just get people you can fight and people you don't. Make the decision wisely in the wet. And I think a number of drivers have done that. They've let Jason pass relatively unchallenged, mostly just to let the man press on with what he wants to do. And the second place, I think, he's going to be pushing hard. He's going to keep the pressure on up until that moment he needs to pit, and then he comes out with the fresh tackies. I think we could still see a podium position here for Jason. I'm not going to lie.
So Kleb just passed JK Minard, though JK is still a little bit out of position because he hasn't pitted yet. We now jump to Vivstar. I've got a feeling that our dear G-Max has left us on autopilot here.
I think he has, but
I haven't.
What
I'm
an
literally
awesome feature.
sitting here changing the things so that you guys can talk.
Oh, yay!
No, but it's jumped to a random guy outside of the conversation.
No, Vivstar doesn't get into these positions, but he's here because he hasn't pitted. I mean, that's what you guys should be talking about. So, just focus on those things.
Thank you, G.
Okay, so I'll take back over from you guys. You guys did a good job there. Even if you threw shade at me changing the camera angles to find things that were happening, you have to learn to cast faster, Eddie. If nothing is happening, don't talk nonsense and then be angry when the camera angle changes. You know that's what's going to happen. So Amateur Race having a phenomenal
So
race.
sassy,
Professional
Shani,
camera
right? So
person,
sassy.
you must listen to the situation and change.
No, but you guys don't
contextually.
really. I mean, you guys focus on a lot of nonsense half the time. So I have to try and find where I can get back in and actually draw us back to the racing thing. So I want to
much
focus back
shade.
on. I will show those shade all day at you guys. Bason here is going to be the man that I want to talk about, because obviously before we had some mention of a perhaps dangerous start to the race. A good clean start coming out, and so far an incident-free run. He's obviously made a pit stop, so we'll be out of position. But all the guys up in front of him, Manar out of position, obviously hasn't gone into the pits. But his teammate Kleb has gone into the pits, so you would assume that he's going to resume the race. That second place on the podium. So a great showing from both these guys, and yeah, I just wanted to give them a little bit of a highlight to just say that at the end of the day, putting time and effort into a sim and showing that you want to improve and you continue to drive and race. I mean, there's not an event and a race that I've seen where the amateur race guys aren't jumping into it. And it's really nice to see that guys are putting in that kind of time and effort. And I know that their main leader, Franco Albertine, has been disconnected here. But he's also just a good example of someone that is growing his community there. He shares his Discord informations, and he's permanently trying to grow things and post things about his drivers and their improvements. And I think it motivates guys to put in time and effort, and that's what I want to see. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you've had a couple of bad incidents or you've had some things. I mean, Bason and I have been in a one-on-one voice chats shouting at each other about a couple of things because we had a disagreement on the way that a racing incident should work. But arguably you would say that at the end of the day has become a better driver at the end of it, and with pace and good racecraft just makes for stunning racing on track.
Basson now coming up to finish his lap while the cock is in the pits, and this is going to be decider of who comes out in second place.
Yeah, and Jason now is the only person who has yet to make a pit stop.
The cock just leaving the pits now, but Basson closed the gap through all of that, but not close enough to really fight for second. So Jason now with a completely clean track ahead of him, and there's no Hendricks pitting yet, so Jason, the only person to not pit yet.
So the prediction coming out, which was going to be true, is Jason's going to be extending the tackies for as long as possible and trying to see if he can build up a gap out at the front. And you know what? It's going to be hard to get into the pits, change a pair of tires. We know that it takes 30 seconds for that tire change to take place. So you really have to get yourself out and on track. And you're risking it going on extended rubber because you're losing grip throughout the race. So right now Jason seems to be on pace with where he has been. It doesn't seem to be like the grip has failed him just yet. He's maybe a 10th off of his times. But, considering he's driven the entire race duration on that set of tires, that car looking a lot more squiggly than it is, he will jump into the pits now. So he said, it's enough. I'm going to be losing time. Absma will go into the pits.
Interesting little stat here for you. So Jason Absma currently with the fastest lap, 1:54.099, which is exactly the same time as Corne Strauss, also a 1:54.099.
Yeah, that's actually true. Insanely good times.
We give a point to fastest lap, don't we? So do they each get a point, or do they each get half a point?
Do we give a point to fastest lap now?
I'm pretty sure I read that in the rules.
I feel like you just make up your rules as you go sometimes. Do we give a point for fastest lap? Because
pole position gets 1 point, fastest lap gets 1 point. You see, George, I actually read the requirements for the leagues I watch.
Have these people had fastest laps? How have we? No. I don't even know how they've been pulling the fastest lap for the races. Now I'm confused on the.
No, Hendricks getting himself a drive-through penalty.
Oh, I think that's for track limits as well.
It might just be.
Yeah, it is a place that you can exceed the track, and especially through that chicane. I think that Noah Hendricks has been a naughty boy and maybe cut those limits. So that's going to cause him to drop down the order. That will benefit Lawrence Strauss, De Vet, Jobert, Vivsta, Buck, and Cap. So Gazoo saying not this season. So there we go. Back at you, Eddie. You may be able to read the rules. It doesn't matter. They've never been applied for the last 12 races. So they're not going to be applied now just because you found the two guys have the same.
No, but Eddie,
I mean, that's impressive, though.
So make it happen.
No, 154.099. You see it on the screen there, and you see it here, 154.099. So that's quite cool. You don't often get to see drivers get dead on lap times, down to this 1,000th. It's always interesting to see. So Absma, after his pit stop, coming out in fourth, 16 minutes left to try and find his way up towards Basson.
Seconds to get.
Yeah, it's a long ask. Like we said, that 30 seconds pit stop when changing tires is going to change things up.
We seem to have lost Mr. Bueta out of the race, unfortunately. The other AMP2 race Porsche that was running today.
Yeah, so he also unfortunately had that the early incident, right, with Dian Cup. And that put him down towards the back of the order from the start. Didn't seem to have too much luck from there and has had a disconnect on lap 17 according to my in-game sort of race time. Going down to JK Manar from KK Racing. He finds himself in 6th. We'll again get to talk about consistency being better than absolute race pace at the end of the day. Fastest lap time for this gentleman is a 155.905. So obviously off the mark of the 154s, but still finds himself in 6th place. So it all comes down to finding that rhythm, finding the consistency. Driving in the wet and doing so lap after lap is not an easy thing to do. It's easy to get a little bit of brain fade, lose your braking points, focus on a windscreen wiper going across your screen, all kinds of those, different factors in the rain. So really just tips hat to all the drivers that have made it through here. Gareth talked about it in the pre-race drivers briefing. It was nice that drivers still came through, even though the championship is pretty much decided. I mean, Bruno Kedili will be taking home the championship prize, even if he doesn't show up to this race or Kyle Army next week. He did excuse himself from tonight, said that he wasn't able to commit to it. But we'll be here next week. Hopefully we still can do some driver interviews with the championship top 3 finishers. That would be cool to hear their insights for the season. But for now, it will be Kleb still to lead things away. He's led from the start pretty much, it feels like. Jason Absmeyer obviously had the early drive-through penalty, but that wasn't the reason that Kleb took the lead of the race. He did so cleanly and made the move. Or De Vet in a very bad place on the brakes here. Needs to make sure that I hope that nobody gets drive-through penalties going through avoiding cars like that, because that can also happen. The game can just think to yourself, oh, you've cut the chicane now and you've picked up a track limit warning because you've still been on the gas. So glad to see that no one getting a immediate drive-through penalty from trying to avoid the car in the chicane. But that's what you want to see. Staying on the brakes, letting the guys get around you, not trying to move around. We haven't really talked about the cock, have we?
No, he's had a very quiet race nonetheless.
Yeah.
He's kind of pulled away from Basson, and whoever was in front of him just left him behind. Similar to what happened to him last week, in a lot of our races this season. It's kind of 2 guys fighting in the front, the cock bringing up the rear.
Yeah, very lonely boy podium taker, but hey, podium's a podium.
Yeah, and if at the end of the day you can just rack up some points. I mean, the cock wasn't available for a lot of the season. He had issues in getting in, and it just goes to show that still a driver that can come in and show some real sort of fight and money. He's very good friends with Jason Absmeyer. Gets they do a lot of training together, so gets some really good insight into driving, and someone that I would be keen to keep an eye out. If he can race in every race, definitely someone to keep an eye out for season 2 for Dominus when that kicks off.
I like how he's also the only person who took the weather seriously and put on a high visibility jacket.
It was a better dad joke. You made Richard
that
laugh.
Was the better one.
You made me smile.
Richard is a dad, so
that's true as well. I have a puppy.
Right, that's all the
Modapar.
parents love.
Lawrence, he is now in position. Obviously, out of he was formed towards the back of the pits, back of the grid, or earlier on due to everybody in not really pitting. He was an early pitter, but also finds himself in 7th place. And that's a good showing for Lawrence. Also, someone that's actually stuck to the same car and livery for the whole season, which is something to mention. I think by the end of it, we'll have to hand out prizes for guys that did stick to one car for the whole season. So that is something that will change for season 2. Will be interesting to see what happens when guys don't get to change mid-season. If Cornet Strauss, for example, went and picked a Lamborghini, he would be stuck with a Lamborghini for the rain race, which maybe wouldn't be a bad thing, talking about Lamborghinis, because Matapane is doing great things in his. He's made himself very much up and available for those points in 5th place. And Pomolo,
He's had a fantastic race so far.
amazing, phenomenal race, and just a top tier gent as well. I mean, getting to meet him through at the Kailami events, and we met at Comic-Con for the 80k LAN series, where we got thrown into rigs and got to experience things there. So it's really cool getting to meet all the sim drivers in real life as well, when we do get to do things in real life again. Hashtag social distancing, hashtag lockdown. Everything happens on the internet. Not that it changes too
Dion
much.
Cup having a massive off into turn
off.
1.
Yeah,
If
Minard
you
showing
skip
him
back
the
10
nose.
seconds, you'll see it.
Yeah, this is quite an interesting one. They have a lovely little drag race, and it all just goes wrong for Dion at the end of the straights.
This move is not. Was Menard lapping Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Cup trying to give all the space in the world, I think, when he realized, and he just carries on straight. Watch now.
Oh, it's gone bad. It's gone very bad. The gravel saving the nose of the Bentley, but that will be capped back to the pits. And I think that's him also going to be throwing in the towel. He has not had a great race at all. If he used to go through his race replay, I feel like they are just highlights and highlights for days. But Kleb, a man that doesn't have highlights and highlights for days, other than the fact that he's run away from Victor and not let Victor even have a sniffle at that first place position. Victor trying to catch him. He's got 8 seconds as it stands to that lead. But, it's not over till the fat lady sings. 9 minutes of racing remain. And it could go wrong. We saw what happened to Cap. That could happen to any driver in this top 3.
I have to correct myself. I said earlier that this is the first time we saw Avterace lead a race. That's incorrect. Peb has actually won a race in the season, so he must have led a lap somewhere.
At some point, yes.
I'm pretty sure it
Some
was.
point.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I remember it. I don't know if it was the Laguna Seca one though.
I'm so gonna lie if I even try and.
But I do
say-
remember Amterace, or it was Suzuka. They also did well there.
Noah Hendricks looks like he is really struggling with the grip at the moment. These 2 offs he's had now in a single lap.
Cornet Strauss just managed to get past Lawrence for 7th. It was a bit dirty coming into T1, but he made
Paul-
it stick.
Jorge Strauss is now also our fastest lap holder, 153.682.
Apparently, it doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what the rules say.
Yeah, for nothing, but hey.
I mean, you guys have probably started like a whole admin war where people will be wanting to be awarded their points throughout the whole season.
Sorry,
So,
guys.
if that is the case, then just know that the 2 people that did that were Richard and Eddie, excluding George.
And the person who set up the rules. Like, they don't spontaneously come into existence.
Well, I blame you guys for not knowing that they hadn't got those points. I thought you guys were doing quick maths looking at the leaderboard times during the season, but
I was, and all my math has now gone out the window.
I'm worried about your maths. It's like, this doesn't make sense. Modapane, a man that does make sense, and he seems to have found it in that Lamborghini. I'm not sure how. There was a little bit of shade thrown on the curse of the Lamborghini at the start of this race. But the Italian stallion seem to be pretty comfortable in the wet weather. I don't know what Eddie said earlier. Some reference to a puppy being happy in the wet.
Something like that.
Apparently, Marapane is a happy wet puppy. And at this space, a happy, quick, fast, aggressive, loud, roaring lion puppy. That's how I'd describe a Lamborghini if someone asked me to describe it in 2 words or less. You can check the website. It's there for season 2, not for season 1. Okay.
That's just a bold-faced lie, I'm going to say it.
So
I'm on the season 1 page, and it clearly says under points, pole position, fastest lap. Let me just screenshot this before he changes the website.
No, it's just, I mean, you guys are the most unprofessional casting pair that I've had. You are just like literally...
I'm not talking!
You're throwing shade at our tournament org. I told you it doesn't count, and you're still going on about it. I don't even know how more to tell you. To stop talking about the damn point now.
Keep quiet.
I just have to tell you, just stop talking about the point. You guys are the...
I'm not saying anything!
Okay.
With you!
Someone talk about this beautiful WRG Porsche, because if I do it, it's going to sound biased.
Nice.
Yeah, okay.
I hear
It's
they're
pretty-
sponsored by Logitech, and all their drivers are swapping over to the Logitech hardware, which
Yeah.
I'm very excited about.
Well, I mean, you can obviously see our big Logitech bannering on the top. All the stream cams and things hopefully going to come in, make some more angles for my streams. It's going to be cool. So yeah, WRG. I don't want to sound too biased, but obviously you saw the start intro. I'm also a White Rabbit representative. But, you know, fair's fair. Jason did pick up a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, and that was left for him to race on through, and he's done just that. Currently finds himself in 4th place. Basson
He's got 5
is...
minutes to make up 20 seconds,
Which
is a tall ask.
And it's catching up to Basson. He's not a slow driver. So at the end of the day, it's going to be not even just a tall ask. It's going to require a 360. Ooh, why is Victor? Sorry, that's Joe Bear that was parked on the apex there. Not sure if he stalled the car, but I was literally about to say it will require Basson to 360 no scope it into a wall, or go off track. So not putting any curses out there, because that's not what I want. I want a good, clean, fair race, and a Porsche is a Porsche, and this is a Porsche in 3rd place. I am a fan of the blue rims. I am a fan of the blue rims, and I don't know what it is in me, but the blue rims, maybe that's the Dominus representative side. Basson showing the Dominus colors in the rims and his daytime running lights.
So we've got a fight brewing here, Buck versus De Vet. 4.5 minutes to go, and Buck is all over the back of De Vet.
So
De Vet
also
also sliding his boatly like it's
going fresh. So just an update on Mr. Jabeur. It looks like he just got it a little bit too much coming out of the hairpin, turned the car around, and then just had to get it facing the right way again.
Sean Buck about to jump to the inside for T1, but De Vet defending inside line. Buck still looking.
I mean,
the most cautious.
De Vet,
is it open? Is it closed?
De Vet wasn't sure. He's like, I'm gonna try and he's like, I can't squeeze more. I've committed to bit of network connectivity problems there. Maybe that's what Bucks were as well, just backing out to just make sure that he wasn't taken out by a bit of weird net code. But De Vet's opening it up.
The door as he left it ajar.
Yeah, no. De Vet now needing to be very defensive. Buck is on the attack, like you said. 3 minutes now on the clock to get the move done.
Sliding,
But De Vet's doing the things that he needs to do. He's trying to hold the inside, but Buck trying to come back with the cutback down through the left-handed. De Vet wide off the exit, and this could be the run that Buck needs. It is. He's come past exactly where he had that incident with Cornestrasse earlier. De Vet making a bit of a squiggle behind. That's going to cost him in trying to catch back up to Buck ahead. But good bit of driving coming out from Buck there, and he's going to find himself up a position into 12th place there with 2 minutes 50 left on the clock. I want to just jump through and see what's happening. 2 minutes 45 at the front. We've still got Victor in second, Clevin first.
Having a big off. The vet, I think, trying to make a move on the outside of Buck, got a little bit late on the braking, and in these wet conditions, that
Yeah,
really
cast
did
it
him
for us
no
here, Eddie.
favors.
I mean, Richard, I'm giving you a replay. Instant replay.
Yeah, no problem. So you're going to see them coming through this fast right-hander here, and I really do think the vet just runs a little bit too much with the slip. You can see he's gaining on him, and I think he has a look on the outside, or he misses his braking marker. One of the two. Yeah, you see, decides to take that run off there. That could have been tragic if he hit the back of Buck. That rear engine car could have been finished.
Yeah, just pushing a little bit too hard in the wet conditions and
Well,
going to cost himself. Ooh, why is he in the pits?
I don't know. He's Dion Cup also in the pits. I don't know if Dion's been.
No,
Dion
Dion
went back a while ago.
back after that spin down T1. So I'm not sure why Strauss has gone in, but that's going to open things up for Noah Hendricks to take that position back, get himself into that top 10. Strauss going to be kicked down the order. That's going to put Vivster up into 10th place, which is incredible for Vivster to be holding down.
I think
I'm
Strauss
really-
is now officially last of the still running. If Cup
I'm not
isn't
sure-
actually still running.
I don't, is Strauss isn't leading, like he's not leaving the pits.
No,
He's been in there
I think
for a
he's
while now.
retired.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
busy
he's-
trying to find out
He retired on
potentially
lap
what it was.
28 and the driver's on lap 29, so it's not that long.
Yeah.
It must have just been like he just lost those positions from 9th, so he's dropped down. The final lap will come out for Etienne Kleb. I want to go and do a little free work, a little drone flyby for Kleb here. That number 78 Aston Martin led pretty much from what felt like lap 3, and a great bit of driving coming out from Kleb.
He qualified 4th, did he not? Yeah, so it was Absmeijer, Kok, Basson, Kleb.
Yeah, he was the sandwiched Aston Martin between all the Porsches. So it was top 3 were Porsches, then was him 4th, and then another Porsche behind him. So a great bit of driving coming out from Kleb, who, without cursing him on the last lap, most likely will go ahead here to secure the victory. And another victory coming out for Kleb in the Dominus League. Amter race.
Yeah, really came into their own towards the end of the season. So I'm excited to see what they'll not just bring to Kyalami, but to season 2 of Dominus GT3 racing.
Super showing coming out from it. Rich, can I just move you out for a second?
Yeah.
Or you just go push to talk on your side quick, just for this last bit. I'm getting lots
Sure.
of background noise. So Etienne Kleb now going to go towards the chicane for the final time, as Barcelona's worst section of the track never has to be dealt with again in the Dominus Gaming League until we go over to Season 2. A great drive coming out from Etienne Kleb for Amter race. His Aston Martin has looked absolutely superb here in the wet. And from the start, a convincing lead. And we'll cross the line to take that first place. Then will come Victor de Kock, not far down the road. A great showing from Victor in his Porsche to take home second place. Then we've got Christos Besson, also from the Amter Play, Amter Race family. Another Porsche will take home that third place on the podium. Then jumping back down to the sad story of today, drive-through penalty issued on the pole sitter at the start of the race and has had to make his way back up. A big slidey boy will eventually maybe cross the line. Has he crossed the line yet? I think he has crossed the line on the side, so Jason will go across the line. Marapane, the man of the hour for sure. What a drive coming out in the Lamborghini, making all 3 of the commentators eat some humble pie and give some respect over to the Lambo Bobo. Something just surprised me for sure. I did not expect him to do so well in it. And a 5th place coming out for Kai K there. JK Minot, 6th place for the other, what should have been the color livery on Pomolo's Lamborghini should have also been this sort of bright Kai colored color scheme. But JK Minot, consistent race, super showing in his Aston Martin, will cross the line, the number 97, in 6th place. Lawrence will take home 7th. Jobert 8th. Richards, phenomenal race. He's got 9th place for himself. And I believe it was the vet in 10th. So Hendricks 11th. Strauss not going to finish the race there, but still in the lobby. So 12th for him, and Dian Cup 13. So the rain has claimed some victims, like we wanted. Richard, anything that you want to add? Any surprises to the race events tonight?
We may have lost Richard.
No, I'm here.
Oh.
I'm here. My computer is just having fun unmuting me. No, I'm very partial to a rain race. So this was a great night of racing. Even though we did have some casualties, this was just a phenomenal night of racing.
Yeah, Eddie, anything from your side that you want to add? Any drivers of the day that stood out for you?
Oh, no, Murapane, driver of the day, hands down.
Oh, hands down.
I mean, we keep telling people how horrible the Lambo is. And for somebody to come in the rain and just basically silence all the critique we had, hopefully it doesn't spur a bunch of high school kids to try out the Lambo in the coming weeks.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that hopefully it does motivate some people to do so. I forgot to wear a hat on my stream today. Look at me. I'm a sophisticated adult today. Guys, thank you so much for joining for the second last round. We're going to Kailami again. I'm not bored of Kailami. If you guys are bored of Kailami, get not bored of it.
I think we've had a long enough break.
Yeah, there's been a long enough break.
Yeah.
Well, in our eyes, if it's like 3 days, no Kailami, long enough break to race there. So next week, Wednesday, we'll be back there for the final round. Hopefully, Bruno will be back. A super race coming out. Thanks to everybody for tuning in and viewing. It was super to be with you. Eddie, Richard, thanks for joining me. Sorry for throwing shade at you. Well, I'm not really that sorry. You know, that's no. That's part of what we do here. So, yeah, we love and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. I'm going to walk over to the streaming PC once again. Richard, do not plug your team when I leave. This is a White Rabbit Gaming stream.
Promise nothing.
I don't even trust you.
You should. Better run, G. Better run.
No, he's not there. Go.
No, you